Welcome! We are coming to you live from Newegg Studios in Southern California. This is Newegg Now. I'm Trisha Hirschberger.
I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell. Newegg Now, where we talk about deals and we have demos and experts and education and glorious slow motion vanity footage of tech that you're going to drool over.
Yep, and sometimes bad dad jokes.
I'm working on them. She's better at the dad jokes.
You're an actual dad.
Much to my chagrin. So I'll step up my game. Don't worry about that.
No, but the show's really about the deals. So
yes.
We're going to go hands-on with exciting hardware, talk to the people who make it all possible, and then bring you guys out there limited time deals that you cannot get anywhere else.
True story. And we've got a very special episode in store for you today. We're going to kick things off. First up, Motorola, talking about some modular phones, the Moto Z, and the world of Moto Mod phone mods.
I'm super excited about that. This is our first time talking about phones on the show.
I know, I'm super stoked about that.
Then we're going to take you through some great deals from Rosewill, including PC cases, gaming keyboards, and mice.
Yeah, and so the big hotness coming up a little bit later.
The big hotness.
The big hotness. We have an interview with representatives from Intel and the Star Citizen team. Talk about their new partnership around Intel's 900p Optane SSD and the developers behind Star Citizen. This is a pretty big deal. It's a very exciting new product from Intel. And Star Citizen's been making some news too recently. They've been in the headlines. So we'll have both of them here not only to answer our questions, but for our first time on Newegg Now, big shout out to the Newegg Now team here. We're going to be answering your questions for Star Citizen and Intel.
You know, since it is a live show, we were like, how can we mix it up? Let's get a little more interaction between us and you guys. So yeah, send us your questions for Intel or Star Citizen, or both if you want, on Newegg's YouTube or Facebook pages.
Don't be shy.
And you may have it answered live on the show. You won't want to miss it.
You won't want to miss it. And of course, that's not all. Even with all that, there's still more. Today, as part of Newegg Now, we have so many deals. We have too many deals for us to talk about during the show.
True story.
So you'll want to go to newegg.com/NeweggNow, scroll down, and you'll find all of the additional deals and promotions that we're running. Exclusive as a part of Newegg Now, you'll want to check that out because they're all very time sensitive, time limited. We've seen where they might not even last the course of the show.
Yep, so it's for a limited time and while supplies last, as our deals always are on Newegg Now. We're all about saving you guys money and keeping you in the know, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Motorola.
Yeah, we will. All right, we got to talk about some phones.
Yes.
This is like, you know, in my previous life before hosting this show, I spent quite a bit of time reviewing mobility products and mobile phones, and you know, you always have that sense of, you know, pros and cons.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, me too. I got a bunch of phone reviews in my background as well, and I feel like with every single review, I end up saying at the end of the video, here are the things I love about this phone, and here are the things that I wish could be better. But because all of us are different and have different needs, whatever phone we would like to, you know, put together ourselves, kind of Lego brick build, our custom phone, whatever that is, that would be different for each of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I've yet to find that perfect, check all the boxes, unicorn device. I always have like, well, this was great, but.
Right.
But one of the things that could potentially help people out there is maybe a phone that's designed with some of that in mind for the user to customize their experience, how they might want to use their phone. And to talk about moddable phones, we have Vesper from Motorola. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you, Trisha, and thank you, Juan, for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you also, Newegg. Definitely an exciting episode that I'm very looking forward to. So, yeah,
Indeed. So start us off. What do you do with Motorola?
So I'm actually a market development manager based out of Silicon Valley. Been with the company for about 5 years. But my job is essentially product knowledge, and I get to play with a lot of cool toys all the time.
It's like you brought props.
All the time.
We were happy to see props.
So we have similar jobs. We play with cool stuff all the time.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, let's jump right in.
Yeah.
What phone are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today we're actually going to be talking about the Moto Z Unlocked. And so first off, I want to at least mention Unlocked for people that don't know. Unlocked means that you can actually use it with any carrier that is compatible with the device. So you can actually just pop in a SIM card or it'll work. If you travel a lot, it's going to work. And that's what's really great about it, is you're not tied to a particular carrier.
Now, I mean, Unlocked's kind of a big deal, especially in the United States,
Exactly.
where we have those differences between the various carriers, where
Exactly.
one phone might work on one, might not work on another, and this is going to support
Yep.
all of the carriers in the U.S.
Yes, it is GSM Unlocked, so it will work with your GSM-based carriers, but abroad as well, too. So it's a great travel phone. It's great if you want to jump around between carriers as well, too, and test the waters on which carrier you like
Right.
best.
Awesome.
So that's one of the main things I want to mention as well, too. But what we've got here is actually the world's thinnest premium smartphone, which is the Moto Z. At just 5.19 millimeters thick, it's extremely thin, but it's also very durable. So you actually have aircraft-grade aluminum that wraps the entire device, but you have Gorilla Glass on the front as well, too. Now, to start off, on the front of the device, we actually have a Quad HD display, 5.5-inch AMOLED Quad HD. You also have your front-facing 5-megapixel camera, but the great thing about that, too, is it's a wide-angle lens, and you have a front-facing flash. So if you want your selfie game to be on point, definitely use that front-facing flash.
I love it.
I'm not the biggest fan of I don't do a lot of the selfies, but I always think it's silly when you do the screen flash.
Yep.
Screen flash doesn't help as much as I think companies think it does.
No need for screen flash, and if you're like me and you have horrible aim, then that wide angle can come in handy. Yeah.
Exactly. So the front-facing flash is definitely something you can find on a lot of Motorola devices. On top of that, too, we have your fingerprint scanner down at the bottom. But what's great about this is not only will it unlock your phone, but you can actually use it to lock your device as well, too.
Nice.
That, for me, is just second nature now. I love being able to lock my phone there. I hardly ever actually touch the power button nowadays. But onto the back of the device. So what we've got back here is actually a 13-megapixel camera with a 1.8 aperture. But what's great about that, too, is it has laser autofocus and also optical image stabilization as well, too. And you have your dual CCT or color correlated temperature flash as well, too, for more natural lighting as well, too.
Now it kind of adjusts to whatever lighting you're in.
Exactly,
Yeah.
too. And then it does record in 4K as well, too. So that's another really great feature as well, too.
Got to do the 4K video these days, guys.
Exactly.
Kind of a big deal.
Yep. And then coupled that, you also have your best shot feature. But I know what everyone wants to know is what's inside the phone, right? Like, what are the specs? What's in the box, basically? So the great thing about this is you have, inside you have a Snapdragon 820 quad-core processor clocked at 1.8 gigahertz. So it's definitely going to be very capable, very snappy. On top of that, you have a 530 Adreno GPU as well. And then you have 4 gigs of RAM built in with 64 gigs of storage as well, too.
Nice.
But the kicker is you can actually expand our phones with an SD card up to 2 terabytes.
Excellent.
Wow.
SD card support. You can-
Exactly, and I
yeah.
know those are very difficult to find because they're technically non-existent, but it does support it. It's all about future-proofing devices, right?
Well, I mean, just because it's up to 2 terabytes, you know, like having an extra 256 gig certainly doesn't hurt.
Exactly.
When you can just pop in a card.
Exactly. And then coupled that, also you have a 2600 milliamp battery built into the phone, so you will get all-day battery. And then it does have a Type-C port on the bottom, which means that it does support rapid charging, or turbo charging is what we like to call it. So plug it in for 15 minutes, and you'll get 8 hours of mixed usage on the
And
device.
that's on the Qualcomm spec?
That is correct.
Okay, so it's part of the quick charge. Oh, it's turbo, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Turbo sounds cooler.
Turbo's way better than quick.
Exactly. It sounds way cooler. So, awesome. And so, on top of that, we've got great hardware, don't you think?
Yeah, no, the hardware sounds
So hardware is
fantastic.
fantastic, but along with hardware, you also have to have great software. And so what's really great about Motorola devices is we like to keep a very clean version of Android, or
Yeah,
a pure Android
definitely.
experience. Creates a better user experience, but 2 features I want to make sure you guys at least get a chance to see. So how often do you ever take your camera out and you're like, I got to get this photo, but I can't get my phone out fast enough, or my camera's having issues, I have to unlock it, do sorts of other stuff.
Yeah.
Happens all the time, right?
Totally.
So what's great is, even if my phone is on my standby screen, I can actually just twist it twice like I'm turning a doorknob or a screwdriver, and the camera opens up. I can also do it again. Sorry, I'm right-handed, so it's hard to do this with my left hand. And it'll go to the front-facing camera. So that's what's really cool about that.
I'm actually really impressed because it's such a thin phone. I was half expecting to see it go flying, but no,
Exactly.
that was an
Yeah,
excellent
so
demo.
the best way to remember is just kind of like you're turning a doorknob or a screwdriver, or you're doing the single ladies dance if you want to. It's really up to you.
In case
But-
you want to film yourself while you're doing this single ladies
Exactly.
dance, then you got it.
Yeah, so what's really cool is it lets you access the camera very, very quickly. So that's called twist twice for quick capture.
Okay.
Another feature too is how often do you guys use your flashlight?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, we have to get up really early for this show,
Try not
and
to
I
wake
need
up
that
my wife.
flashlight to not wake everybody else in the house up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the problem right now is when you have to get your flashlight, you have to go through a couple steps. You have to turn on the screen, swipe in the direction of your device, and then you have to toggle on the flashlight, or you have to customize it, correct?
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's on the phone, which I won't mention the manufacturer for the segment. It's customizing the notification shade at the top of the screen, which still requires an unlock and a swipe. Yeah.
Exactly. And so what's great about this is you can actually just chop down twice, and the flashlight turns on. And that's what's really cool about this is there's no need to actually fumble around with all these different settings. These are actually baked into the Moto app, which is built into the phone.
Well, and that was actually one of the most positive aspects, I think, when I was reviewing phones, was talking about that software where Moto's customizations felt very sort of contained. It wasn't like this pervasive skin that affected performance on top of the phone, and that the few additions that people were going to interact with, it was just that. It was interactions, not I've got this menu, or I've got this customized app, or I've got these things that pop up at me. It kept everything really clean. And it was actually the chop. It was one of the features that got my sister on the Moto train. So she's on a Moto G. But she saw that and she's like, well, yeah, I need to have that phone.
Exactly. It's just fantastic. I mean, there's so many times that I've used that. Like when we walk our dog at night, you can just chop down twice, turn on your flashlight, and you're good to go.
Well, I think it makes sense. And I think we've seen with other phone manufacturers some gestures used for things that you're like, it's cool that you can do that, but I don't know that I would ever use that. These two are things that I feel like would have
very accessible, totally, yeah.
Exactly. It's all about creating a better user experience for the consumer, and I think that's what those features definitely do. But that Moto app provides a lot of other features.
Now, talking about creating a better experience for the consumer, I feel like there are extra things at the bottom of that phone that warrant some conversation.
I agree, and so
those things right there. Tell us about them.
Yeah, they're just toys that I brought. They keep me company. But no, so what we've actually got on the back of our device is a 16-pin connector that allows for the magic of what are called Moto mods. And so what Moto mods are is it's a way to actually change the way you use your phone in a snap. And the reason I say in a snap is because it's extremely easy to do. And so using magnets and also that 16-pin connector, there's never going to be any pairing involved. There's no setup process involved. As soon as you attach a mod, it just works.
Great.
Nice.
How it works, it's magic. And it's through the magic of Moto mods.
Excellent.
That's the technical answer for everybody out there. It's magic.
We're going to get deep in the weeds on the magic of Moto mods.
Yeah, so there's a lot of software and engineering behind it, but I'm not an engineer, so I can't really explain that. But the great thing about this is I can show you how very easily they work. And so the first thing that I've got actually is a To-Me battery pack. And so how many times have you guys ran out of juice throughout the entire day on your phone?
Oh, I mean, every convention I go to, I feel like.
Every time I take a flight,
Yeah, so BlizzCon actually just recently happened, and so
Were you BlizzConning?
Oh yeah, I BlizzConned all over the place. No, it was great. It was really awesome.
We can use that as a verb now? Is that a thing?
BlizzConning?
No?
Probably not.
I'm sorry,
No.
I'll stop.
No, not a problem. Exactly, but there are a lot of very active people out there, and so whether you're traveling, you're entering conventions, you're going to festivals, there's always that never-ending search for a wall plug, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like playing the lotto, essentially. You're like, am I going to get lucky today? Am I going to find one? With Moto mods, I can basically just take my battery pack, and just like that, in a snap, I have 22 additional hours of battery life on my device.
Nice.
And the great thing about this is it's very pocketable still. I don't have to actually be attached to any cords. It's all done through that.
Coming out, yeah.
Exactly. And so you have 22 additional hours of battery. But what's great about this as well, too, is once I'm done, I can pop it off, and I'm good to go.
Great.
It's also a wireless charging back, so I can leave it on a charging pad and charge it by itself, or I can have it attached to my phone and charge both at the same time.
Nice.
No, I actually thought this was a really nice consideration because obviously thin phones, there's an aesthetic, there's something really pleasing about that. But you can not only customize just like if you want to have like a, because I think you also have just one of the style mods. Right there too. So if you want a pretty back on the phone, you can do that.
Exactly.
But for someone who wants to have the thicker phone that will have
That will go all day.
2-day battery life or something like that, then they also have that option too.
Yeah, and one thing that I actually wanted to point out too, because you brought up the style shell actually, and a lot of people are like, well, do I need to keep this covered up? Is it going to get damaged? So our phones are water resistant nano-coated inside and out as well too.
Okay.
Great.
So just keep in mind that the phones can take a shower, just not a bath.
Are they
Okay.
IP68?
Do you have?
No IP rating for it,
Okay.
but it is nano-coated internally and on the outside as well.
So but you're comfortable saying like splash resistant.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah. So take a shower, not a bath, is kind of what I like to say.
Perfect. Great.
Motorola, take a shower. not a bad. We're in drought-addled California. Take a shower.
Exactly. And so, very useful feature, right, with the battery mod, correct?
Yeah,
And
no,
so,
that's great.
So that's definitely one of our most useful ones. But what I really like as well too is, so have you guys ever had to listen to music and you want other people to hear it, but you're like, well, I have this front-facing loudspeaker on my phone. I can let other people hear it, but everyone has to crowd around because it's not that loud.
Right.
So what we've actually got here is what's called the JBL Sound Boost. And so what's great about this is it actually gives you a 6-watt speaker, but it also has a built-in kickstand, and it gives you 10 hours of built-in battery life as well too, which means that it won't drain your phone's battery. But if it does, your phone will actually keep it powered on.
Oh, nice.
So how often have you guys actually grabbed like a Bluetooth speaker and then you come to find out that you forgot to charge it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
And so to kind of give you guys an example.
Yeah, can you show us how it works?
Definitely. So I'm going to play some music real quick. So let's say you've got audio, and in a snap,
That's pretty cool.
and then you'll notice that I can detach it, but once I attached it, it didn't ask me to set up anything.
Right.
to
There's
hook it.
no like pairing process or anything like that. I like from having played with the JBL too. I think that was one of the things that drove the point home really quickly. Was it wasn't like it was through an app. There weren't like software to install or a driver. You know, like Android and like having drivers isn't really a thing. So that process worked just as seamlessly as we've seen from like the TV commercials.
Exactly. And so what's great about that is you get a lot louder audio, but at the same time it's very seamless. You have that built-in kickstand. And what's great is there's a lot more uses than just for audio. So for example, if you have a hard time waking up, do you guys ever have to wake up super early?
Yeah, like today.
Today.
Yeah, I had to be up here early. But the great thing is this makes a very loud alarm clock.
I would say maybe a little too effective as an alarm clock.
If you
freak out everyone in my home.
live alone, then this alarm clock is perfect if you have a hard time waking up.
We just told you about the flashlight so that we weren't waking up spouses and stuff. But
Yeah. Now you can wake them up with this instead. So,
boom.
exactly. So that's what's great about that one. And so as we move down the line, obviously we've got a lot of really other great mods as well too.
Yeah.
And so as you can see over here, we have a wide array of mods that are available. But what we actually have on here is the Motorola InstaShare projector. And so what's great about that is it allows you to be able to see things in a much larger image.
Right.
That's always going to be a huge benefit, correct?
Yeah, so that's actually what's being projected right here. Is that's the demo? That's not on that.
Yep. So it's
Right,
actually
that's
on the
perfect.
device, and so
That's
it's
great.
a direct mirror of whatever is on my screen.
Cool.
Now, I mean, because we've got all the studio lighting and everything too, I think we actually recorded some footage. Can we throw to
Yeah, it's probably hard for you guys
the
to
projector
see.
so they can see that a little bit better? Oh, in the sexy
yeah.
slow-mo.
There you
Excellent. So yeah, so it creates up to a 70-inch.
That's correct, yeah. So it
Image.
has a 70-inch image. You have 1 hour of built-in battery, and again, if the battery dies on the projector, your phone will keep it charged.
Great.
The great thing too is if you're gonna go on a binge watching like episode, just go ahead and keep your phone plugged in, and you'll
Right.
be able to watch the entire time. The great thing too is it has an integrated kickstand, so you can actually angle it to whatever you want. You don't have to look for phone books to like prop it up.
Oh, that's great.
And it can go all the way up to the ceiling. But what's great about this too is it has an auto keystoning feeture. So
Now this I was really impressed
Yeah.
by. Can you talk about keystoning real quick?
yes,
Just
so what keystoning does is there's actually an accelerometer inside the device, and it detects at what angle that the phone is actually aiming at a wall. So obviously a white background will always work best, like a white sheet or a white wall.
Right.
And if you have it angled at a screen, it'll actually adjust to make sure that the image is straight. So you have about a 40-degree differential between positive and negative.
Nice.
And it'll be able to correct that for you.
So I had an old projector, like this was just out of college,
Yeah.
so a while ago. But I could never get all 4 sides. It was so strange too, because I would always have one where it would be like rectangle, 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 trapezoid on one side. And so from having played, because I got to play when the Moto Z launched, I got to play with the projector mod.
Yeah.
I was really expecting that to be not so good, but I was surprised. It was a very clean experience, even if I wasn't perfectly straight at the wall. So even the angle and the tilt were off just a little bit. The phone seemed to do a really reasonable job of keeping all of that straight.
Exactly, and I think that's what's fantastic is a lot of people have always wanted to be like, I want to get a projector, but I don't know if I would like it. Well, the great thing about this is it's pocketable. You can use it wherever you go, and you can stream whatever you want to on it, and that's what's really great. But again, there's a lot of other uses for it. So other than just movies and like streaming and whatnot, I mean, could you guys think of any other uses you have for it? Like, for example,
Well, I actually used it for a presentation.
perfect,
Nice.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
we had it in a dark conference room, and I actually used that with Google Slides.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's great for presentations. The coolest things I've actually seen people do with it is, do you guys have children?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually put like the solar system on the ceiling, and your kid
Oh,
can
that
fall
is kind
asleep
of cool. I
faster.
thought you were gonna say, you know, like I don't need
That's
another way to watch Vampirina.
Yeah, I could do
But-
without trolls for the 50
Yeah,
minutes.
just
I've
for
even
now.
heard of teachers that will actually put an image onto a whiteboard and teach children how to trace and how to color within lines, which is
Oh, that's
really
cool.
cool. So there's a lot of really, really cool use scenarios for this other than just watching movies.
Right.
But of course, you can hook it up to a ton of different speakers if you want to and have a loud audio system with your projector as well too.
Now,
Awesome.
so we're here at Newegg, the Newegg Studios,
Mm-hmm.
and the one mod that I've spent the least amount of time with is the gamepad, the
Yes,
controller. Again, we also shot some extra footage of that I
Mm-hmm.
want to show while we're talking about it. But
Definitely.
you've got to walk us through dual analog sticks,
Yeah.
buttons, shoulders, controls.
Yep. So this is by far one of my favorite mods. I use it daily. And so the great thing about this is because I am a gamer as well too. But the great thing about this is because it's a direct connection, there's no latency.
Nice.
And if there happens to be any, it's so minimal that you can't even tell. And so I like playing platformers on it because they have to be very precise on when you
Yeah.
press things like jump or attack. You know?
Totally.
And so you have full controls, console controls. So you have dual analogs, you have dual shoulder triggers. But the great thing about this too is it will actually work with hundreds of Google Play games. So I like playing games such as like Shadowgun, Modern Combat. Racing games work very well too. Magic Rampage is a great platformer that I always play all the time. I think last time I showed you guys this, I think I beat it since the last time I was here.
Nice.
Good for you.
And the great thing too is because we are here at Newegg, there are a lot of people that like to develop their own software. So it will
Right.
support your favorite emulators as well too.
That's
And
great.
so it is fully mappable as well too, and that's the great thing. So not only does it work very seamlessly, but it has 8 hours of built-in battery into the controller as well too, and you have your audio jack built into it as well.
Fantastic. So what other mods are available? I feel like we're just like, and here's a mod, and here's a mod, and here's a
And
mod.
you
Tell
get a
me
mod.
what else
and
you
get a
have.
mod.
You got a mod. Everyone check under their seats. You got mods under there.
What?
It's not
Yeah.
true. He
And so-
lied to me.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
so,
very let
like
down
we
there.
said, there's so many things to go over, so I don't want to take up too much time. But for example, what we've got here is actually a vehicle dock, and what's great about this is you can actually just attach your phone, and it launches Android Auto.
Great.
Oh,
the
that's
back.
cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
here in lovely California, I mean, you get seen using your phone while you're driving, take it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and all the people at
do
every stoplight you hit with like people looking down with this glow coming up from their laps.
Yeah. And so it launches Android Auto, but you also have a Type-C port that supports turbocharging as well too, and your built-in audio jack as well too.
Nice.
For people that don't have Bluetooth in their vehicle. So again, user-friendly, very improves on the user experience.
Cool.
We've also got the Hasselblad camera attachment. And so
Say that one more time.
Hasselblad.
Hasselblad?
Yeah.
Because it was hilarious when we created this slide that producer Nick actually wrote Hasselbad. And we're like,
But it's not bad. It's hassle good.
so I was like, Nick, it's only the camera that went to the moon.
You might have to
man.
coin that term now, Hasselgood.
Hasselgood. Not Hasselbad. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
And so,
Please
no,
continue.
not at all. And so the fantastic thing about this is one thing that's missing from a lot of smartphones is true optical zoom. And so
Right.
this will actually give you manual control. So you have your manual zoom functionality here, a 2-stage shutter button, you have a 10 times optical zoom, and then you have a built-in xenon flash.
Love that xenon flash.
Yeah, and what's great about it as well too is it gives you the ability to shoot in RAW format.
Cool.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so anyone that's a huge traveler, for example, do you really want to carry around your $1,000 SLR kit or your $500 lens? This gives you that capability. And of course, it's not going to replace that, but it gives you the
Right.
capability to shoot
There's a
in
little
RAW
more
format.
flexibility. Yeah.
Exactly, and the great thing is because it uses Google Photos, it all gets uploaded there and it's automatically backed up. And because it is Hasselblad, you get use of Hasselblad's Focus software to edit as well too.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Awesome. And then you've got a 360 camera over there, I
That's
see?
correct. So the great thing about this, for anyone that hasn't used a 360 camera before, normally you have to hold them separately and then you have your phone.
Yeah.
Problem with that is if I'm at a festival, how am I supposed to hold my favorite beverage of choice, correct? And so, first world problems. So again, great thing about this is you simply attach it, and then once you've got that attached, you can launch your camera via the back button here, or once you've got that open as well too, it'll launch the camera, and once you see that, you have 2 lenses on the front, but now you can actually see everyone in the photo
Oh,
here.
neat.
Simple streaming. So what's great about this too is you can live stream to Facebook, you can live stream to YouTube.
Oh, excellent.
Yep, so it shoots 360 photos, but you can also shoot in 4K video and 3D sound as well too.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Because I've played with a couple other that are like Wi-Fi connected, but you only get that stereo.
Exactly.
It feels kind of odd when you're looking around the video, but there's only like left channel, right channel.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing about this too. And so you can live stream that. But the nice thing is now it's all one device. I don't have to carry on separate devices, and it's all very pocketable still. And I can still hold my favorite drink.
Now we also got to play with another one. I think we've got right here.
So
just another speaker, but this one's new. Like
yeah, so
launching
this one actually hasn't launched yet, but
it hasn't launched yet.
Yeah, so
We've
I
got the
believe
exclusive.
it's coming out very soon actually. But what's great about this is actually the new Moto Smart Speaker, and what that does is it's actually a speaker capable of Amazon Alexa built in.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So you'll notice in the intro footage there was actually some footage that showed that had the little blue light.
Yeah,
that
we
showed
were talking to the speaker.
Yeah, and what's great about it is an 8-watt speaker, so it's extremely loud. But the great thing is it's a dockable design. And so normally you would have to have like your speaker plugged into his Amazon Alexa and whatnot. But the great thing about this is it now travels with you. So you have Alexa on the go, which is fantastic. So you have up to 15 hours of usage on that.
Wow.
But because it's a dockable design, so the way that it's sitting there is actually how it would sit on a countertop. You can just plop your phone down on it, and then you'd be able to actually use it just as you would Amazon Alexa. But the great thing is you have that combined with Google Assistant, so you can really choose which one you want to use.
Now, so we're talking Moto Z, and we're like all of these are like really great accessories for that.
Yep.
Part of the conversation, especially for someone who's maybe not as familiar with Motorola as a brand right now, the concern over spending a lot of money on these different accessories, which are designed around that Moto phone.
Yeah.
What kind of like upgrade experience? You go from the Moto Z to another Motorola. Are these going to be compatible? Or are they going to work with future devices?
That's actually one of the biggest questions that I always get. And what we like to do is we want to make sure that when you invest in this ecosystem, it's going to go a long way. So while it is compatible with the Moto Z, it is compatible with multiple generations of the Moto Z. So as long as it carries that Moto Z moniker, it's going to actually work forwards compatible and backwards compatible as well too. So if I have this phone and I get the next Moto Z that comes out next year, all of my mods will still work. And that's the really great thing about it is your investment will go a long way.
Is that an actual ecosystem of products?
Exactly, and so we launch quite a few mods every single year, and that's the great thing about it is there's over a dozen that are currently available on the market right now.
Cool.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this
thanks for dropping
information
by.
with us, Vesper. Thank you for coming by.
Definitely, always a pleasure.
Yeah, and for everybody out there, I know you're excited about the mods, so let's talk about the deals, shall we?
Only as a part of Newegg Now, you will get the Moto Z phone you saw today unlocked for $50 off the regular price, plus 3 mods for free. Wait, mods for free.
Did you say for free?
3 mods for free. You're going to get a battery pack, the car dock, and the speaker Vesper demonstrated earlier, all for the purchase price of the phone. It's a great way to get started with a Moto Z in the world of Moto mods.
Yeah.
That's $50 off the phone and a value of around $239 in various mods that you can use to augment your Moto Z experience.
Awesome. So the next deal we have, you get the Moto Z phone for its regular price, but you'll also be able to get that smart speaker with Alexa built in, the brand new one that we were just talking about, for free. This is a pre-order because it is so new. This is a brand new mod that was just announced, like Vesper was just saying, but you will get it for free when you use the promo code on the Newegg Now page. So remember, you can get all the details of today's deals by watching along on newegg.com/NeweggNow. Coming up next, we're talking about Rosewill cases, keyboards, and more. Be right back.
Yep. Welcome back to Newegg Now, and once again, thank you for everyone who's watching on the live streams, on the YouTubes, on the Facebooks, and of course, newegg.com/newegg-now.
And remember that coming up in about 10 minutes or so, we'll be talking to Intel and Star Citizen about the 900p Optane SSD, the Saber Raven ship, and the partnership between the two companies. And we want your questions, so please share those in the comments on Newegg's YouTube and Facebook pages, and the more technical, the better, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll dig in deep if you guys want to. But we've got some great deals on some pretty sweet peripherals coming up soon. Before we get into that, want to kind of showcase is we've got one of our awesome Newegg ninjas here setting up some kit over here on the side.
Yeah.
The glowing lights, the cool accessories. I'm actually going to move my laptop over.
Okay, so that everybody can see it better.
I'm not blocking the shot. I might have to move it again. I didn't rehearse the blocking well enough to.
It's a live show. But no, seriously, like over here, if you take a look at what we've got, it's some RGB goodness.
Yeah, it is.
What we have here are some Rosewill brand products, and Rosewill is actually Newegg's house brand. Not everybody knows that, but it's true. And what that means is that with Rosewill and Newegg Now, you're able to get some really fantastic prices on some exciting stuff. So let's go through it.
Yeah. So we're talking peripherals. What do we have on hand here? I'm gonna try and hand model this if you can talk us through.
Perfect.
And I don't know where I should.
You got that manicure, right, for your hand modeling?
The worst nails ever. This is
okay.
terrible.
We forgive you. Okay, well, let's start with the keyboard since that's what you've got in your hands right now.
Yes.
This is the very nice Rosewill Neon K85. So if you hold it up, then you can see the lighting on it. It's got kale blue switches. It's fully mechanical. There's an aluminum plate that adds weight, so there's no slippage.
Oh, good call with the lights. Thank you.
Thank you for the lights so you guys can see it. It's got a nice little wrist rest there on the bottom as well, so support for your longer gaming sessions. The interesting thing here is that the RGB lighting is not software-based. It's actually controlled using the function key and other keys on the keyboard.
All right, how do I do that?
So hit function, and then any of the keys up there with the little.
Oh,
there
okay,
you go.
yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I
got
mean,
it.
this is fantastic for portability. Say, there's no software needed for the RGB, and that's fantastic. So this is a pretty sweet keyboard, but check this out. If you purchase the Neon K85 today for $69.99 as part of Newegg Now, Rosewill will also include the Neon M60 mouse, this lovely blue GX10 headset, and this extended Rosewill RGMP 700 mouse pad. So it's an entire kit of peripherals for the price of a keyboard. So this is perfect for you with brand new builds or people who just need to upgrade everything. It's been too long.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an excellent combo. I'm kind of digging the mouse pad.
Yeah, do you have an extended mouse pad at home?
I have like a big mouse pad, but I buy my mouse pads based on the most chaotic designs possible.
Okay, well,
so like right now, I have a Borderlands mouse pad, so if I spill anything on it, you can't tell.
It totally makes sense.
Because it all fits in. They even have like the faux rings on, but this is actually a lot nicer than what I'm currently using right
I
now,
have to say, having recently upgraded to an extended mouse pad that takes into consideration both my keyboard and my keyboard footprint and my mouse, it's so nice. Like now I feel like I know how the other half lives.
Yeah, so we have some video of this stuff in action. We can throw to that instead of me doing awkward modeling.
Okay.
Because I think that'll look a lot better. So let's kind of go through just individually real quick on what is all in this package.
Yeah, so let's go through what you're getting when you buy this keyboard. You are getting the Rosewill GX10 headset, which comes with a bright blue light. This is not RGB, so it's always blue. It can be used for a console or a PC.
Excellent.
And it's got inline controls, so you can adjust everything.
That's super handy.
Yeah.
And so we've also got the Neon M60 mouse, manual RGB controls. It's really easy to set up, 12,000 DPI.
Which is really pretty high. Like that's very high.
It should be very quick, especially on like my 4K monitor, and I'm trying to like move the mouse to get through different editing situations. So that's excellent. You got
a long way to go. So all of those peripherals, including the extended gaming mouse pad, all of that for $69.99. That's pretty crazy. And this deal will not last long. So make sure you head over to newegg.com/Newegg Now to take advantage of it.
Yes, and that's just one of the Rosewill deals we have for today. I'm also really excited about the cases. We've had some really cool cases on the show recently, and this is another nice one.
Yeah.
This is the Meteor XR Plus. It's easy for me to say. So you can get this in black, which you see right here.
Or that's actually the white interior right here.
Oh, that's the white interior, and then we also have the black interior, which is over on the side.
Yep.
And again, just a really nice way to show off the innards of your workstation and your gaming PC setups.
Indeed.
So that tempered glass is super clear. We were shooting B-roll of this, and every time someone would move it, the glass was so clear, I'd be like, oh, I gotta get another rag, wipe this down, because fingerprints were showing up. But the shroud is a really handy touch, just to kind of keep all your cables, your power supply, all of that tidy.
Yep.
Airflow, very important. And 2 fans are included.
Great.
With support for different radiator sizes.
Yeah, and there's room for more fans if you want to do more. Whatever you like, this case has you covered, which is nice.
One of the things I'm super excited about, front HDMI port.
For VR!
For VR. So, I mean, like, we talked about this here. Like, I'm old enough where it's like, even for the basics of serial connectors, you'd have to crawl under your desk, plug stuff in.
Yeah.
And now, not only like USB ports, but it's super easy to plug in like a headset. Or if you're doing game streaming, you have that as an input that you can access really easily. I'm a big fan of adding that to the front of a case.
Yeah, and both of these cases are normally $79.99, but you can get them today only for $69.99, and it gets even better because check this out. This is an absolutely crazy deal, but I am not complaining in the least. If you buy either of these Meteor cases, Rosewill is going to throw in a Quark 550. That's a 550 watt, 80 plus platinum power supply for free, and that thing that you're getting for free is worth $90. So
yeah, we had a conference, we had a meeting putting this one together, and it was kind of funny. Like, so it's the $70 case with the $90 power supply.
Yep, and you get the $90 power supply for free.
There was some concern, but one of the Newegg reps was like, shut it down, that's the deal.
That's the deal, which is amazing.
Done. It's a fully modular power supply, perfect for those of you who are considering new builds. Again, all of this put together, you're putting your first PC together, you're building a new system, new rig, and it's always nice to have all of those parts and pieces ready to go. You don't have to wait to fire up your new hardware. It's exciting. It takes some of the edge off, like, oh, but now I have my scummy old keyboard and mouse.
No. Upgrade it.
No.
So that'll do it for Rosewill today. Head on over to browse all the deals on Newegg.com/NeweggNow. Make your purchase soon because, again, time and supplies are limited. And don't forget the extra deals down at the bottom of the page. Remember we said there were deals we weren't talking about on the show, but we do have deals. Scroll down the bottom of the page and you'll get to see those as well.
All right, coming up next, we have Intel and Star Citizen in the house to answer our questions and yours. We'll be right back with that, so stay right here. Welcome back to Newegg Now, and once again, thank you for everyone watching the live streams on YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Newegg.com/NeweggNow.
Okay, so now we've got something really special for you guys. First, a little bit of backstory. Over the past couple weeks, one of the most talked about new products on Newegg.com has been the Intel Optane SSD 900p. So this product features some exciting steps forward for storage technology, but that's not the only reason it's been popular. For the release of the 900p, Intel has partnered with the team behind Star Citizen, the oh-so-hotly anticipated space sim game, to give anyone who purchased the drive a limited edition in-game ship called the Saber Raven for free.
You're really lit up about this. She's been talking about this ship like all week since we've been putting this segment together.
I know. Well, I've seen the picture of the model, and I was hoping it was going to be here
I really
today.
wanted them to bring the model.
That's okay.
too.
That's
but it's
okay.
okay. It's okay because you're going to be getting that brand new SSD, and the ship is going to come with it. But it gets even better because today, as part of Newegg Now, we're going to make that deal even sweeter with an addition of a Corsair K95 gaming keyboard. We'll get into the full details on that deal later, but first, let's learn a little bit more about Intel's 900p Optane SSD, the Saber Raven, and the partnership between two of the biggest names in gaming and hardware.
So joining us in the studio today to talk about this, we have Alex from Intel and Sean from Star Citizen. Welcome, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
All right, let's kick off with some introductions. Alex, what do you do with Intel?
Sure. So I'm a client solutions architect, and what I do is I work with the game developers, application developers, and end customers, trying to solve their problems with our products, try to make them be more efficient.
Excellent. And Sean, what's your role with Star Citizen?
I'm the tech director of content, so basically all of the content that goes in the games, all those cool models like the Saber Raven and these kind of things coming out of Maya or 3ds Max, I work with the teams and the art teams to get those actually into the game.
So you're who I need to talk about to be in the game?
I'm the one.
This right here?
Yeah, that's right. That's
excellent.
right, and we get to
Get
drive
some
in it too.
PCAP going on?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very nice. So obviously Juan and I have plenty of questions for you guys, but I'm sure everyone at home watching the live stream have questions too. And again, because it's a live stream, we can take your questions. We want to hear them. So if you're watching along on Facebook or YouTube, please send us your questions about the 900p, Star Citizen, and the relationship between hardware and gaming. We want to hear your questions. Newegg's social team will be picking some of the best questions for our experts to answer here live in just a few minutes.
Excellent. Okay, so for those watching, I want to start off talking about some hardware. Apologies, I'm a gearhead. I want to.
Totally
we'll
okay.
say
It's
it.
totally
get
okay.
there.
I want to hear
But,
about
but
it too.
I want to jump in. What is new about the 900p? We've got this branding that Intel is putting out there, Optane, and I'm hoping we can kind of dissect that a bit.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to do that. So as you said, Optane is a new brand that we're launching with our SSDs, and what it is actually a family of products. And as you said, this is a new product of that family is coming out, which is actually the 900p SSD that we're launching for enthusiasts and workstations. Actually, Optane, it comes from 4 building blocks, which it is our 3D Crosspoint.
Okay.
It is our Intel Interconnect IP. It is Intel drivers and also intercontrollers. So those 4 blocks conform into Optane.
Excellent. And so in this technology, because we keep, when it comes to storage tech, we keep having these like doom and gloom moments of like, there's the most we can fit on a platter, or this is the density, the largest density that we can create. And I was hoping you could talk a little bit about Crosspoint.
Right, sure. So 3D Crosspoint is a new technology we've been developing for the last couple of years. So what it is instead of being transistor-driven like the current NAND is, it is actually memory cell-oriented. And you can think of it as columns and stresses. That those columns and stresses are called memory cells, and in there you can actually store the data, store the bits. And that material that it's made from is very quick, that helps us reduce latency and also improve the performance of those drives. The other good thing about it is you can scale, so you can think of it as a Jenga a game. You can actually put it on top of each other. So that's how we can increase the density of those drives.
And so density, and then it's stackable.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
they're stackable, yeah.
Excellent. And so,
Awesome.
So obviously, I'm sure Intel had some like ideas of what this drive would be utilized for.
Right. That's right, sorry, Victor. But yeah, so there's a couple ideas that we had for what is intended for, mostly was the ideas for workstations for heavy workloads, for helping game developers or also engineers that want to use this. Also, I mean, it's a very, very fast drive, so if you, for the gaming, it'll also come in great for do that.
Yeah, what kind of performance can consumers expect from a drive like this?
So the performance that you see is it's wicked fast for this drive.
Nice.
Nice.
So what we want to do, especially for those workloads that are very big, very heavy, that actually run out of core,
Right.
or when the RAM starts to overflow, you see a great improvement on the performance. And also, this is NVMe PCIe, so if you're used to having a hard drive or a regular SATA SSD, this is gonna blow your
Well,
socks
because I
off.
think like consumers, not like consumers are all tearing open their laptops and stuff, but
Right.
solid state drives have gotten to that point where they're sort of a
Exactly.
consumer standard device, and this is about taking that performance up.
Yeah, this is taking about this performance to the next level and also trying to reduce that bottleneck that we currently have in our system, which is the storage drives. And also, the idea is also to help developers, from gamers to AutoCAD or engineers, to help them code not around the storage device, but also actually become part of that formula to develop.
Now, we actually have a couple questions. I'm gonna jump in on this real quick here. This is from TB. TB is asking, so like our audience is already like 2 steps ahead of me. TB is asking, is the 900p compatible with VROC? More specifically, is it bootable when in RAID?
Yes, that is correct. So it's compatible with VROC, and that's one of the big features that we have that is bootable, which is something that you won't find very common in the market right now with the actual other NVMe or PCIe drives.
And then from Ezekiel, this is also coming in from YouTube. My live chat's moving away from me. I need to get the question back. Okay.
The questions are coming in so fast.
In what areas of big data is the Optane 900p helping CIG developers?
Well, that's what Star Citizenship is.
We'll pass
we'll get to there. I don't want to steal his thunder.
You don't want to
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and flip over to the Star
that was our
Citizen side of
transition.
it. There we-
Excellent.
thank
Sounds
you,
awesome.
We'll come back to
YouTube
that
for
question
the nice segue for us. So Sean, let's take a look at the other side of the coin here. What is, for those of you who are like Star Citizen, what is Star Citizen and what should people know about it?
So Star Citizen's huge. It's an independent game being developed purely through crowdfunding. So there's no publishers involved. This is all through the brainchild of Chris Roberts, who was one of the creators was the creator of Wing Commander, one of the most popular space sims that's ever been, really. So Star Citizen itself is an epic first-person experience, and you exist within a universe that has hundreds of systems with just as many planets, and these planets can have cities on them, they can have wildlife on them, they can have, they can just be barren rocks, you can build outposts, you can explore, you can battle other NPCs, you can battle other players, you can be in a multiplayer ship, you can be in a single-player ship. So basically, it's a sandbox universe that we give you the tools, and it's up to the players basically to play how they want.
So a lot of people, when talking about it, are talking about it as 2 games in one, part MMO, part first-person shooter. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So there's actually 2 games kind of being co-developed at the same time. One is Star Citizen, the MMO itself, and then the other side of the coin, in our UK studio with Foundry 42, we're developing a game called Squadron 42. And this is a single-player experience where you're going to meet some star-studded cast members like Liam Cunningham or Gary Oldman, Mark Hamill, people like this within the game. So I don't want to give away too much of the story, but we'll be talking about it soon.
No, as a Wing Commander fan, I was like, oh, Mark Hamill, yes.
Yes.
And you did mention that the game was originally crowdfunded.
That's right.
Can you speak a little bit to that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're still technically in crowdfunding, and how it works is actually the players pledge, and we give them rewards in the form of ships. And these are ships that exist in the game or are to be existing in the game eventually. And basically, they get access to these ships right away in the game.
And what I love about what you guys are doing as far as the crowdfunding is you're actually letting your backers play and test the game through the development process.
Yeah,
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's been an interesting experience. And as a classic game developer, I mean, even doing something like this on a live stream is very... it's definitely different. So we interact with our community a lot. We have with me today is Jared Huckabee. He's come to the studio with me. He does up to 18 shows a month for Star Citizen. And that, I mean, that's as many as like Jimmy Fallon or somebody like this. Like, I mean, to give you an idea of just the amount of content that we put out. But it's been super interesting to have the community along for the ride for a AAA game development because, I don't know, game development is a little bit like the military in a sort of way. There's a bit of a mystique that goes on behind the scenes. And not everybody kind of sees that. They usually see the game in that last phase where it's like, oh, we're beta testing. Well, once you've hit beta, you're pretty darn close to final. They've not seen the sort of ups and downs that come throughout that entire alpha process. And for a game this big, it's really interesting and I think informative for the community to be along for that ride. Now, as a developer on the game, it makes the highs that much higher, but it also makes the lows that much lower. So there's a bit more of a roller coaster ride that goes on with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a really unique experience for not just the community that's been part of it, but also for the developers that get the chance to actually make this game. And ultimately, we're not beholden to anybody. We don't have a publisher over our heads going, you know, oh, you must release on this day. I don't care what features you have to get rid of. You need to release on this day. Our community makes that decision, and we let them make their decision through pledging for the game.
Okay, so I know that pledging brings ships. People are excited about in-game ships. Talk to me a little bit about the Saber Raven ship that you get with the 900p.
So the Raven's a cool ship. Now, it's a medium fighter. So it's a single-seater medium fighter that it's actually our fastest medium fighter. So
Fastest in the class?
there's
With the
a
fastest
little bit of
guy,
a little back and forth there. But it is our fastest fighter. So it's kind of like the stealth assassin. It's got dual EMPs on it. So basically, it can completely shut down any opposing ship. So it can sneak up on them real quickly, shut them down, and it's also got long-range weapons on it. So it can pull away faster than any of the other ships and take out the guy you've just shut down. So it's a pretty fun ship, and I mean, arguably, it's one of the coolest looking ships in terms of its aerodynamics, the way it actually looks. It looks like it can fly in atmosphere. It's going to have really nice handling on the planets and these kind of things.
So a ship like this would be a hot commodity that I would imagine players would be hesitant to be in the danger zone with. You don't want to lose it. Yeah. So the Saber Raven actually comes with 2 months of insurance included. Talk to me about that insurance.
So with the insurance, what that means is that you won't actually lose the ship. So should you actually crash it, or you take your first time out and you fly it into a mountain, it's going to happen in games. That's fine.
I love that this is actually like a playable concern.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a terrible pilot.
Sure. I mean, and just taking off, for the first couple times, it can be a little dicey. I don't know.
Right.
It's like the first time sort of flying a jet in Battlefield was always a little.
Yeah. Exactly.
How do I control this? So it's the same sort of feeling. So if you crash that thing, it's not all the money's out the window or anything like this.
Right.
You can recall that ship right back at, we call them ASOP terminals. So you can just walk up to the terminal, recall that ship. There's usually a cooldown to it, and it really depends how many times you've destroyed the ship, how much money you, like in-game money you want to put towards the insurance for that ship. But then you can call it right back and have it again.
Well, this definitely sounds like the insurance system, because there have been other game titles that where the conversation on the in-game materials starts to have that corollary where real-world currencies are actually being affected by these markets.
Yes.
So
there's a whole
the insurance policy here is that, I mean, that's got to be a commentary on what gamers have been looking at for their not only their investment in time.
Sure.
'Cause first of all, our time's valuable, but then also like your backers are putting real money behind these products.
No, and that's why for a time there was a lifetime insurance that we were giving to certain pledges for certain ships or certain packages, and of course, we really wanted to get this game funded right out of the gate. So, I mean, there were things that started with the insurance that have evolved up until this point where we see that, okay, once the game actually starts getting going, if every single person has infinite insurance, then the value of these things have just completely cratered. Yeah. That's the whole thing. So, yeah, that's pretty much it with the
awesome. Okay. So we want to we want to know the basics. We've got the 900p, we've got Star Citizen. I want to talk about the partnership because you guys announced this partnership at CitizenCon a couple weeks ago. Alex, from Intel's perspective, why did this team up with Star Citizen make sense for this particular product?
Yeah, so it makes sense because these guys have been seen, and for the players who have been with them for so long, they're been pushing the edge on technology, on gaming, and everything. And they have an open world simulation, which for them it wouldn't be too much fun when you have load screens. So, and that's what we're trying to do. One of the reasons we're trying to do with this drive is try to reduce that load time into RAM. So for us, it was not only from the gameplay perspective, but also from the development perspective, right? When you're loading up a model or a world and everything, it takes a long time to load, and that's due to the latency or how long the fast scan you can pour it. So. For example, an engineer will come in, turn on the computer, load the system, go get coffee, and come back. Now, I'm sorry to say that you won't be able to get coffee anymore. We'll load right away. So yeah, they are on the leading edge of game development, and we thought it was a great partnership because we thought it was a great drive for them. So great.
Thanks.
Awesome. And then from the game dev perspective, Star Citizen sounds like it could be a hardware-hungry game. What does the 900p drive offer for Star Citizen?
One of the main things is that we've been building our systems and our basically the entire engine itself so that it can scale to the new hardware that's been coming out. And the biggest drive for us has been the parallelization of all our processes. So basically, we can actually concurrently read files from this drive at the same time. So we can have in flight at one time 4 16-kilobyte blocks up to N cores being transferred from this drive at once, whereas a typical hard drive, you're going file by file by file by file. And some of our files are massive. Like, I mean, if you've seen the ships, the detail on them is almost egregious. There's so much detail that goes into these ships. So you can imagine the actual data size of something like that. So one of our models, for example, could be upwards of 100 megabytes. So you've got to split that up into a lot of different smaller files. But then if you have to go file by file by file in a serial sort of mode, it's going to take forever. So we can actually transfer a lot of those smaller files all at one time. So it's just super efficient in terms of loading, and even more efficient in terms of streaming. So we kind of have this one load screen, and originally we were kind of going the route of, okay, you know, when we're going to land on the planet, we'll probably put a load screen. When we're going to transition to landing zone, we'll probably put a load screen. But actually, our engine developers have come up with a system basically for these infinite view distance, full planets in view all the time, no loading screens, totally seamless, up and down. I like calling it from pupil to planet. It goes all the way from like the size of a pupil all the way up to a sort of planet and then a universe. But basically, we load all the stuff around you one time, and then all this stuff is happening at runtime. So then we're bringing in the planet, we're unloading it, we're bringing in all the cities and everything on that planet. So having a really, really strong throughput of streaming was incredibly important to us.
I should be fine with the 486.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, you'll be okay, 4060X, as long as you hit the turbo button.
Out of the turbo button. It's my favorite. All computers need to have a turbo button.
I totally agree. Whether it does anything or not, doesn't matter.
I want to push
Just give us a
it.
button.
I want to run the
Every
turbo
time I
button.
push the turbo button, my character just died back in the days. What's going on?
Turbocharging, turbo button. This episode is all about turbo.
All about turbo. I see
Right
a
on.
question from Zake on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Says, this is a question for Sean. Will the Crosspoint Optane technology create better performance on the server and or client with the Star Citizen tech that is now being developed? For example, object container streaming.
That's exactly what I was taught. So without using the word object container, I was
Yeah.
sort of explaining it. But object container streaming is what we've been, and this is the cool part about having our community involved, is that they speak the same language and everything, right? It's so nice. So object container streaming is how we containerize the planet, how we containerize the cities and things like that on the planet. So yes, it's incredibly important for that kind of streaming because that object container is composed of thousands, and sometimes hundreds of thousands of entities, hundreds of thousands of models, polygons, these kind of things. So because we can transfer sort of concurrent file reads, it's incredibly fast. So.
That's awesome. And then a question for the Intel side from Christopher Ross on the YouTubes. Should the Intel Optane SSD hold just the games or also the operating system?
Oh.
Well, that's pretty much up to you. You can either have it as a scratch drive, or you can also have it as OS. If you ask me, I'll probably have both, depending on the density that you get, so the 480 or the 280. For me, it's to have both in there.
Perfect.
Nice.
Why not both?
Why not both?
But this is a very exciting and I would say pretty rare opportunity to
No,
have
totally.
technical experts from both sides, the gaming and the hardware side, here to talk to us. I'm interested on your perspectives on the production pipeline, how hardware and software interact through this development process.
Right, and especially, I mean, to start off on the Intel side, because I'm sure Intel has a pipeline years in advance of what's actually being sort of released to consumers.
Right.
You're designing products, you know, how are you envisioning like the final, like, what that product's going to be used for, the software side of it, and the opportunities you have in working with developers for kind of crafting that pipeline.
So yeah, so like you said, you see, we do have it's a years of development for the technology, especially with Optane. It's completely brand new, revolutionizing, not evolution, it's a revolution. It's completely new. So it takes a couple of years, and then since this is completely new, we have to have first of all, stable product to be able to give to developers, right? The last thing you want to do is give them a product that, I mean, it's running, but is not completely stable for them to develop. So we engage as early as we can with the developers so we can work out the kinks, not only the kinks of the product, but also hear their feedback, which is very important to us to see how we can make the product better for them. Because at the end of the day, is what our users, how we can make the life easier for them. So yeah, we start as early as we can, years in advance, try to work with them, and then throughout the process. From where it started to where it is, it's always you think it's going to go one way,
Right.
and then you're surprised of what people do at the end with it. So there's a lot of new possibilities that we can do with this drive, and we have thought of some, but once we release it, we are impressed about what our customers,
Right.
everybody
I'm
else can
just
do
thinking
it.
back like where we were 5 years ago to
Exactly.
what we're using today, and I mean like. I think Intel does a pretty good job of anticipating. You know, like if I could predict 5 years from now what we were going to be doing, I'd be a far richer man than I am right now.
Especially
True.
in the bit, yeah.
But let's also flip that question around for you, Sean. Star Citizen has been in development for a long time now.
Yep.
How much has hardware changed in the time that you've been working on the game, and how has that affected the game, with the exception of maybe less load screens to figure out?
Sure. I mean, hardware is always changing, but we try to keep to some constants. Like making decisions, 5 years ago, and it probably wasn't about 5 years, it was more like 3 years ago for when we made this decision anyways, was to develop with parallelization in mind. So basically being able to spread across as many cores as possible. We knew that more cores are going to be created, more parallel processes are going to be used, so we're going to develop systems in that way. So we also have to predict what the hardware vendors are up to. Now, luckily, we get a little bit of advance notice, so I think we got in touch with, we had our partnership sort of agreed upon about a year ago or so.
Yeah.
So we had access to some of the early drives so that we knew sort of what to do with the systems to basically abuse the hardware as best as we could. So on the development side, though, there's tons of benefits already with the Optane drive specifically. So using it at work myself, we're moving around a lot of data throughout the course of the day. So where people might be downloading one patch of the game as a player, I'm downloading probably 6 or 7 builds throughout the course of the day. I'm moving those around on my PC. I'm moving files in and out of our packaging systems. So just having access to a machine that's going to, the drive that's going to move the files around this quickly, it's just super convenient for me throughout the course of the day. Again, it's a little less coffee drinking, but it's actually a little more work that's actually getting done. So that's quite nice. One of the other big wins that we made was on our build side. So we have these build servers that, so we have all these files that are created, the models from Maya or whatever, and it gets run through something we call a resource compiler, and turns it into an engine-specific format for the model. Problem is, we have like 60 or 70 gigs of data that will end up being created from over a terabyte of data. So all of this stuff has to go through, we call it a scratch disk, or basically a build server that's sitting on a drive somewhere. So the faster that drive is, the faster our build process is. The faster the build process is, the more builds I can get out. The more builds I can get out, the more times I can get things tested. The more times I can get things tested, the faster I get it out of the community. So it kind of
snowballs.
Yeah. Absolutely. So just again, like a small improvement, and this wasn't a small one. This is quite large. Going from like an 8-hour build down to, I think we've got it down to about 2 hours now.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
huge.
insane.
That's
it's massive, and it helps everything for the developers.
Yeah, and that's just one of the possibilities that you talk, the new possibilities that are coming out. And we kind of try to sell that. We're trying to reduce that time, but there's other bunch of things that we are not aware of that will improve.
Right. I'm sure people will like,
Exactly.
again, it's a solution that people will find problems to address. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so let's peek behind the development curtain a little bit here. How does the hardware that you use for developing a game differ from the hardware people will use to actually play it?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think it depends on the technology used, but generally we try to very much use the exact same hardware that somebody uses on a really high-end gaming PC. Now, we make sure that we have, of course, every sort of system spec, and developing for a PC is actually a lot harder than developing for, say an Xbox or a PlayStation, because you've got this consistency. You know exactly what that hardware is. You can profile it. You know exactly how fast that thing is on that particular machine. But when you're developing on PC, there are so many different kinds. So we try to have these, sort of 3 specs that we have. Yeah, so we have, low, medium, high, and then, the enthusiast, very high sort of spec. And most of us develop on the high, very high sort of side of the house. But we have to keep an eye, of course, on the low spec. But generally, yeah, we try to use the exact same video cards, use the exact same processors, use the exact same drives, because again, I'm developing it, but at the same time, I can't develop anything without actually being able to play it myself. So if I'm playing it on some supercomputer, it's just, I'm not getting good results. I don't know that, whatever I've written or whatever model I put in isn't running super well just because my hardware is really good.
Right.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Well, and then also, I'm sure Intel probably has some similar concerns too. When in the world of like tech reviewing, we have these benchmarks and these synthetic scores that we can utilize, but we have to then like temper that against real world performance and the expectations that Intel has for a product like this.
Yeah. So for example, for this, this has been very interesting for this drive because throughout since pretty much hard drives and SSDs, there's a specific benchmarks that we all run, and we want to see like, okay, sequential writes, sequential read writes, random read writes, and everything that on. But now that we have completely changed the direction of that, and as we dove into seeing how this drive perform, we started to see like, well, why are we focusing so much in sequential read-writes when actually most of the workload occurs at random, right?
Right.
It's not like you're always watching a movie. Well, it depends. If you're binging on a show, that's another story. But yeah, it's actually random read-writes, and that's where these drives perform amazingly. Not only that, but also if you've seen the spec sheets, they go all the way to, I don't know, a QDEF 32. But at lower QDEF, these drives, actually throughout all QDEFs, these drives sustain the performance, which is amazing. So, and 80%, well, about 80 or 82% of the normal workloads occur between QDEF 1 and QDEF 4. So these drives are pretty much, like I said before, revolutionizing how do we test, how do we look at the workloads, and also all the new possibilities that they can bring.
Now, and obviously you've got a relationship with Star Citizen, and they've been running these drives through the ringer too. But is Intel active in playing like current gaming titles, other partnerships? I mean, I'm sure these drives have been on lockdown. They just haven't been out in other people's hands like willy nilly. But
yeah, so yeah, you're right. Since this is completely new, they have been somewhat in lockdown because the idea is to work with, like I said, with different app developers, software developers, and we have been going to them and saying, okay, this is new, and we have engaged them early on to try to see, okay, how do you think this can work? What do you have to do to change your code to take advantage of this? Now you don't have to just go to RAM, load, or go around it. Now you can just, what would you do if you don't have to do that? For example, will be for engineering workloads, I've gone to different customers and they told me, like, I cannot load my project, my boat, or the whole boat, or the whole airplane, or the whole car because it's so big. So I actually have to cut it into pieces, simulate it separately, and then check the numbers. But now with this opens the door to maybe why don't we just put everything together and actually be able to simulate it together. So
yeah, I was on an engineering project where they were trying to use RAM drives, and it was exactly that problem where it's like we've got like 16 gig. You're like, that's not enough.
Not enough.
And they were having to like piecemeal each section of what it was that they were working on.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, please.
No,
I insist.
I was gonna say, so yeah, those are the new possibilities we're talking now. Before you have to, okay, we're just gonna simulate the wing of the plane, and now you're like, okay, let's put the whole plane together.
Which I'm sure has an impact on the performance of the plane when it's one cohesive unit, as opposed to just how a wing might work. All right, we've had a chance to ask our questions. We've already been filtering some questions from the audience, from YouTube and Facebook. So our social media team has been feeding us more. We've got a bunch of questions we're going to get into right now. Please keep them coming in because we've got some time to spend, and this is the right opportunity if you want to know more about Intel and Star Citizen. Trisha, do you have one lined up?
I do. So I have a question from Mike McCarty on YouTube.
Yes.
Says, how will running two 900p SSDs in a RAID affect performance?
That'll be interesting to see on the performance, but you have two 900p rated. I mean, as it is, this is already, like I said, wicked fast. Now you have two of them. It's going to double how fast you can be. No, I think we should try it. I think it's amazing. We're playing with that.
Future episode of Newegg
Yes.
Now, I need to see what these things do when in RAID.
I like that plan.
Well, it's interesting. It's kind of how things go, though, right? Like, I mean, that's how it went on. That's how it's going on the development side too. It's like, okay, it's this fast.
Not only that,
let's see what it does.
Well,
see what it does when we do this.
Why stop at two? It's like there's motherboards that have four, so 4 PCIe
Right.
slots. So
It's like why have one when you can have four?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Totally.
And on the gaming side of things, Christopher Ross on YouTube says, is there any performance difference between the original Saber and the new Saber? Stealth weapons, payload, shields, or engines?
That's a good question, and I'm not so deep into the design of the previous Saber. I know a lot about the new one.
Okay, tell us about the new one.
So in terms of the design, again, I don't know the exact sizes of the weapons. We have upwards of like 12 different sizes for our weapons, and I'm not even sure if the community knows we have 12 sizes, and maybe they have 6. But in terms of the speeds and stuff like that, I don't know the actual numbers, but yeah, it's got 2 AMPs on it. I know it's the fastest medium fighter.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, it's got 2 Krieg long-range laser weapons on it. So beyond that, that's about all I know. Sorry, I'm on the tech side.
Or all we can divulge today.
All we can divulge so far.
It's a mystery.
Indeed.
But not really. So Bob T. Builder on YouTube, is there any possibility we'll see an M.2 version of an Optane SSD?
That's a great question.
Okay. I like
We're getting into those today. Say no more, say no more. Let's jump to Mr. Seeker, also from YouTube. Would the SSD drives be suitable for things like data centers? Thinking big Oracle databases.
Optane on databases? Yeah, we actually have drives specifically designed for databases. So we have the P4800X that is actually designed for data centers, databases, or HPC, so high performance computing or cloud services. So we do have drives specifically designed for that, and there's differences between one and the other, right? So the data center drives are built thinking into also endurance, which I'll get back to this because that's another big point in this one. But for example, the endurance for the data center drives is 30 drive writes per day of the size of the drive. And the same thing goes for this one, which is 10 drive writes per day.
Okay.
Compare in average to a regular SATA SSD, which is 0.3.
Oh, okay.
So from 0.3 to 10 and from 10 to 30. So there's a big difference. So these drives are high endurance. These are like industrial grade high endurance. You can throw at it, anything at it, and it will have a long time.
And they look awesome.
But I was actually just going to say, no, I actually think that's really cool, the considerations of how, not only how it's going to fit in the case, but I mean, like, putting cooling, sort of, passive cooling solution on the drive itself isn't something, like, I've got a stack of hard drives in my box with fans built specifically just to kind of keep airflow on those. But, so you're saying that Intel also has sort of options that would be
for data centers.
targeted more for that data center
exactly.
than...
Yeah, and for data centers, you have, well, I'm not going too deep into that, but you have a power loss. So for example, when the power goes off, you still have enough, there's built circuitry capacitors in there, they have enough energy to do that last, to do that last write to the media. So that's one of the differences that we have there.
So you just have to run a UPS if, like,
Yeah.
No, I have a box that's almost as big as my PC, just for the exact same.
Yeah, you don't want to be.
Situation.
All right, Ship is Love, Ship is Life on YouTube says, will 3.0 actually have 60-ish players per instance now?
Well, very interesting. We actually had a couple test runs of this just this week, and it's looking quite good. Our server performance is so much better than it was in the 2.6 sort of area, and we hadn't expected to work on it until about 3.0, so we put the work in, we've continued to put the work in, and we're still putting the work in. But already we've done some tests, and it's looking pretty solid. I can't say 100% that it's going to be that many, but it looked really good from the test already. And just to give you some ideas of the performance implication, before we're already twice the performance that we were in 2.6.3 with that many players up to 60. So yeah, we're doing a lot better.
Awesome.
Nice. Another question for the Optane. This is from Elix Whitetail.
Elix Whitetail.
Elix Whitetail on YouTube. Is the Optane 900p compatible with anything previous to Windows 10?
So it will be compatible with Windows 8.1.
Okay.
Windows 7 does not support NVMe drivers, but there is a patch, so you have to inject that into the Windows 7 and do that. I mean, there's a way, it's just a little bit more cumbersome to do.
Gotcha.
So if you don't want, like plug and play will be Windows 8.1 and above. If you have Windows 7, which a lot of people still do,
there is a solution.
There is a solution to it. It's just a little bit.
I know a lot of businesses and even like editing bays that are still on Windows 7.
There's a lot of workstations, and I've seen to a lot of customers that is still on Windows 7 that still haven't made the transition.
Right.
But yeah, there is a way to do that.
Awesome. Let's see here. Viper3DC from YouTube says, will network culling and network bind unbind be in 3.0 or 3.1? Sean.
They're trying to get it into 3.0. Now, we don't want to hold it up. We don't want to hold 3.0 any longer than it's kind of already been delayed. So whether or not that makes it for 3.0 will really depend on the date that they get it done by. We want 3.0 very much out by the end of the year, so we'll just have to see.
Okay.
Okay, and I've got, I can't see who this is from, DAE?
It looks like Dagan
Daganlock.
Daganlock, probably. I'm thinking of Loki. Sorry. Daganlock.
It's topical.
Okay.
So this is about the Optane. Would the U.2 version be useful over the PCIe? Oh, my chat moved. What would it be utilized for over the PCIe version?
So the U.2 is just a type of connector that goes into your motherboard.
Okay.
So we actually currently offer for this type of drive right here. There's two types. So you have the U.2 connector that different motherboard vendors will offer, so you can just go connect to that. Or there's also, it comes with a cable for the M.2 connector. So you can just go from here to your regular M.2 slide. The performance should be exactly the same between all different ones. So it's
so like no difference.
No difference. It's just it's just a connection.
Excellent. And this is from Scandinavian?
Scandinavian.
I really
on
want to know
YouTube.
how that you locked down Scandinavian. Just Scandinavia.
first
That's
one.
his YouTube.
The first Scandinavian to get a YouTube.
I guess that's great.
handle, obviously.
How much faster will these SSDs load in 3.0 over regular market versions now that the Mega Map feature is available?
Yeah, I thought the Mega Map feature actually came online in 2.6, so you only had that one solid load, so it'll probably be about the same. In terms of the load time, though, it's half of what it is on the on the 900p. It's so much faster, and half is probably an underestimate for it, anyways. But because we're still adding content to the 3.0 release, it's hard to say.
You
for
feel
100%,
pretty good at half,
but I
though.
feel pretty darn good that
That's bold, sir.
and that's only one load. I mean, it's a one-time load, you know. So that one load that you have is now, you know, it was whatever it was, 2.5 minutes or so, and now it's down to 1.5. So.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for questions. And thank you so much for everybody watching who sent in, I mean, some really good conversation there. And it helped us sort of expand on what we were talking with. And thanks so much, Sean and Alex, for dropping by.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Sean and Alex. So guys at home, you've learned a lot about Intel's 900p and the Star Citizen promotion, and today is a part of Newegg Now. It's a great time to hop on board if this was something you were already hyped on. To recap, when you buy the 900p Optane SSD, you get the Saber Raven in-game ship in Star Citizen and 2 months of insurance for free.
That's right. And today, only exclusively as part of Newegg Now, the package gets even better. Head on over to newegg.com/NeweggNow, and you'll find the promo we're running for the included Corsair K95 Platinum mechanical keyboard. We've got some video we can throw to that. You guys can take a closer look at that sexy piece of hardware.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the K95 is one of the very best gaming keyboards that you can buy. The deal today includes the gunmetal gray keyboard with Cherry MX speed mechanical switches and outstanding RGB lighting, which you can see here in our B-roll.
Yeah, I really like that strip at the top of the keyboard, that LED strip. It's just a nice way to kind of get it to pop. You know, I don't know of any other keyboards that do that as well. I just think it's really pretty. Also has a row of gaming macro keys on the left-hand side, aluminum frame, USB pass-through. It's called the K95 Platinum for a reason. You could make the argument. One could be so inclined.
Okay.
This is the king of mechanical keyboards in terms of those features.
Ooh, those big words. So today, through the end of the day only, you can take advantage of the deal on the Newegg Now page to buy the 900p drive from Intel. You'll get the Saber Raven Star Citizenship, and you'll get the Corsair K95 Platinum, and you'll save $190 off that whole package.
That's a pretty big package.
It should.
I've got a note in here. I just like
Sorry.
That's yeah.
So you'll get the SSD, a chip, and the keyboard, and save $190. It's a great deal. I'm gonna use the word deal and not package.
Probably
Guys,
better
you
for
can
doing
check out
that.
the full details on the Newegg Now page, and we will be right back to wrap things up. Well, that was a really fun episode. Did you have fun, Juan?
I had a great time. I'm going to stray off script again for just a split second here, guys. This is episode 4 of Newegg Now. And again, I want to throw a huge shout out of thanks to everybody who's been watching the show, the community, but especially to the team of people behind the cameras who have been making us all look good, because it's really difficult to do live. And then every episode, they have risen to the challenge of adding something new.
Yeah, we've done something new each episode, and you know, today's new thing was incorporating your comments.
Absolutely.
Which was really, really fun. So thanks to the team for making all the moving parts work together.
Definitely. Okay, so we had a lot to discuss this week. We talked about Motorola and the Moto Z and all of their cool phone mods. We showed off some cool Rosewill gear, some great deals on cases and gaming equipment, and obviously Intel and Star Citizen was, shall we say, out of this world.
I see what you did there. Now you can totally say that. Seriously, thanks again to Motorola, Rosewill, Intel, and the Star Citizen team for partnering with us on this episode. Coming up next week, we have something very special planned with our friends at ASUS. I don't want to spoil it, but for you out there, you should all make sure that you tune in because it's going to be good.
Definitely. And remember, go to newegg.com/Newegg now for all of the deals we talked about today, including deals we did not talk about today.
It's true.
Scroll down to the bottom of the page for all of those extra promotions, and you know, you'll definitely want to check that out because those deals are going to go fast.
Indeed. This has been Newegg Now, and now you know. Bye.
Bam.